So now that we know what a rigid body is, let's turn our attention to rigid body kinematics. Okay. So rigid bodies are usually coupled to other rigid bodies. So for example, here is the wrong choice. Here is the Mangalyaan, and as you will see, a Mangalyaan is actually composed of many so-called rigid bodies: the deck assay, the yaw deck assembly, the antenna, the pitch deck assembly, the solar panels, and all of these small rigid bodies are coupled together and they all move relative to each other. But because a rigid body cannot change shape, so to say, because all points have to remain at the same distance from all other points, therefore this severely constrains the motion of one rigid body to another. All of this falls under the domain of rigid body kinematics. The foundation of rigid body kinematics is the Euler's theorem. What does it say? The question that it answers is, how are two orientations of a rigid body related? So what does it mean? So if I have a rigid body, which I always end up drawing in the same way, and if at some other point of time this rigid body was oriented in some other way, let's say like this, then because I know that the shape of these two rigid bodies has to be such that any 2 points, the distance should remain the same between these 2 points, okay, and it, a cube cannot deform into anything but a cube, it must always remain a cube, so the shape can't change. So are these two orientations of the same rigid body related somehow? And Euler's theorem says yes. And how are they related? Well, Euler says that any two orientations, these two orientations of the rigid body, are linked by a single rotation about an axis. What does it mean? It means that if I give you this orientation and that orientation, you will be able to find an axis E, so that I can take hold of this rigid body, rotate it around this axis and produce this rigid body. That's what he is saying. Okay. So there are two things to show here. One, that it is indeed possible to relate this rigid body to this rigid body, or rather this orientation of the rigid body and this orientation of the same rigid body by one rotation about an axis. The second is how to find the axis and how to find how much you need to rotate to go from here to here. Okay. So let's prove that. We have actually proven it already. So let me first begin by labeling this orientation as 0 and this orientation as 1. Okay. Let me color code it so that it does, just because I can. So let's call it red. Okay. So two orientations, 0 and 1. What I can do is, I have been told that I can identify a rigid body with a Cartesian coordinate system. So let me do that. So here is my Cartesian coordinate system in the rigid body E1, E2, E3, centered at some point G. Okay, so this is the BFCS of this rigid body. Okay. Well, in orientation 1, this BFCS will become some other coordinate system, will take on some other orientation. So maybe this will be E1 now, this will be E1 prime, E2 prime, and this will be E3 prime. Okay. So this BFCS which had the name E now becomes this BFCS which has the name E prime. Okay. That's what I am saying over here, that this body fixed coordinate system becomes this body fixed coordinate system in orientation 1. Okay. We have already proved that given two Cartesian coordinate systems, it is possible to find a rotation tensor so that which relates one to the other. So we can find such a rotation tensor. This rotation tensor will have three principal values: lambda 3 plus 1, and lambda 1 and 2, which will be complex conjugates. Associated with the complex conjugates, we can compute this angle theta as a tan inverse of b by a, which we have shown, well, which I have claimed, and I will show you in subsequently in a future class, that this is the angle of rotation, and the rotation axis is the principal vector E3 corresponding to the real principal value lambda 3 equal to 1. So what are my answers to the question that I had posed over here? What is the axis about which I should rotate this rigid body to get its new orientation, which is given over here? Well, this axis is E3 and the amount of rotation is theta, and this is how I compute theta, and E3 is computed as the principal vector corresponding is the real principal vector of R, and R I can compute. How do I compute R? Well, I have a formula for R, if you remember. R would be given by EI, let's be careful, EJ prime dot EI tensor EJ. I am given the orientation 0 and 1. That means in orientation 0 I know this Cartesian coordinate system, this body fixed Cartesian coordinate system. Since I know this orientation, that means I know the new orientation of the BFCS, which I am calling E prime. Since I know E and E prime, I can construct the rotation tensor R. Since I can construct the rotation tensor R, I can compute its real principal vector, which gives me the axis of rotation, and I can construct the complex eigenvalues of R, from which I can derive the angle of rotation theta, which is how much I need to rotate about E to go from orientation 0 to orientation 1. So by this I have proved Euler's theorem. So this is the fundamental theorem of rigid body motion, and everything will flow usually from here. So in the next lecture we will start studying three-dimensional rigid body motion, and you will see that 3 dimensions is way tougher than 2 dimensions, and everything that you have done so far has been in 2 dimensions. But now you have grown up and you will do 3 dimensions, and you may realize it's a dimension that you have never seen.